Dragi gledalci, ovo je Teologija uz jutarnju kafu, moje ime je Beređi Dušan Bera, autor i voditelj ove emisije. Dobrodošli, jako mi je drago da ste zajedno sa mnom, jer danas nas čeka ponovo jedna interesantna priča, jedna životna priča, ali jedna teološka poruka zasnovana na toj priči. Stvarno je onako interesantan događaj kroz koji je moj prijatelj prošao. A tako nadam se da ste skuli kafu, čaj, šta god već volite da pijete, jer krećemo. Teologija uz jutarnju kafu je emisija koja želi da obradi različite teološke teme i da promišlja o životu. Ja nalazim teologiju jako interesantnom i nalazim duhovnost jako interesantnom. Ona treba da utiče na celokupan naš život i tako treba da utiče i na naše postupke, način razmišljanja. Ovo je jedna priča, životna priča, o jednom čoveku, o njegovom sinu koji je bio napadnut, skoro umro, preživeo, o opraštanju i svemu tome. Pa eto, nadam se da ste spremni da čujete tu izuzetnu priču o jednom stravičnom događaju, ali pobjede u tom događaju. Sa mnom je moj prijatelj, koga znam više godina, Čak Tod. Čak, welcome to Theology with Morning Coffee.
Thank you very much. Very glad to be here.
Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Chuch Todd. I'm honored and privileged of being in charge of World Misonari Alliance, an organization my wife and I started, and we have the ability to unite people from different churches, different backgrounds all over the United States and Canada, and being able to travel to different countries. We traveled to about 40 different countries and be able to see what God is doing around the world and how he's working in different churches. And we're just really excited about it.
Yeah, and you was here like how many times? 5, 6?
Something like that. I was trying to figure that out earlier and I couldn't quite, because there was a team or two that we came that I didn't come with.
Yes, yes. I think it was 2 times that you didn't came. So, yeah, I'm thankful that you're coming and helping us. Tell me, how did you become Christian? When did this happen? How?
It's I say it's an interesting story. It's not an interesting story, really, when you hear everybody else's testimony. When I was 3 years old, I don't remember the age I was. I was told, this is the age I was told, but I remember the event. I was watching a television evangelist, or actually it was a television church. And in the end, the minister said, if you want to, at the end of the message, if you want to accept Christ, just kneel down in front of your television and pray. And I was 3 years old, but I knelt down in front of the television and prayed.
Wow.
And now my family, my grandmother was a strong, believing saint. The rest of my family, they weren't against Christ, but they were not dedicated believers at that time. But I gave my heart to Christ, and I never did turn my back on him. One thing is I believed very wholeheartedly that Jesus Christ was going to come back at any time. And I was always very afraid if I'm involved in something bad, that's when he's going to come. So there's times I didn't live quite like I should have, but I never really went completely into the world for that kind of fear. So.
Yeah, and did you follow still because of fear, or you have different reason? Because you now many years follow Christ. Why? Why are you still in Christ? Usually atheists told us that people come to Christ only because they are fear, or I don't know. But what is your reason?
I just fell in love with Christ. And that came later. I've always had a respect, a love, and an understanding that I'm part of God's family. But Christ is a real person to me, and God is real to me, and he's always been there when you need, and always answered my prayers. So it's just been I always felt his presence. I say always. I mean, everybody goes through times where you kind of get closer, and sometimes you don't hear everything. You have those times, but overall, I always felt. So I never really swayed, never even considered a different direction, because I always felt his presence.
Oh, nice. And so I know that God's still teaching you, and you're learning new things about Christ and your life with Christ. And one of a new big lesson was situation with your son. You told me that you want to share something.
Yes. It was a great revelation to me that came through my son. Now I have two sons. I'm very proud of them both. And one of them is working in D.C. And he was, it was a very simple thing, but he was attacked quite brutally. And it was a man that was just let out of prison less than 24 hours, or about 12 hours earlier before the attack. He was let out of prison. And he claims that voices in his head told him that somebody's going to get him for all the evil he has done, so he felt he needed to stop this person. My son just came off a fast, and he was going, and he had a meeting in the church. He was going just to get a lunch meal and carry it back to the church and eat together with the other people there. And on the way back with his sack lunch, he this man just came out of the shadows and attacked him. It was quite a brutal attack, but in fact, he shouldn't have made it. The doctors have said the same thing, that he was, he's stabbed in the lungs, in the diaphragm. They said a centimeter more in the diaphragm, he would have suffocated. The first stab was in the head, and it said it went through the skull, went through the they call it derm or some type of protective layer in the brain, but stopped at the brain. So over and over, the stab in his side, it collapsed his lung, and it said it came within a millimeter or two from a major artery and about a centimeter or two from the heart. So each time it was very, very close, but nothing ended up being fatal. Yeah. And during this time, when in the ambulance is the first time he really understood how serious it was. So he asked the ambulance driver to pray for him. And it was ambulance driver said, "Well, are you a Christian?" And he said, "Yes." And the ambulance said, "Well, I'm an atheist." And my son said, "Well, I don't care. Pray for me." So he got the ambulance driver to pray for him. Then in the hospital, sort of similar thing happened. The nurse said, "She's Buddhist." And he said, "I don't care. Pray for me." So he got these prayers going up, and he never...
Again, we prayed to here. When we heard message, when I received message from you, we all church prayed, and maybe our friends here.
Thank you so much. It was so important. The thing that I learned from this, when they caught the man very quickly. They found the cell phone at the scene, so they was able to catch him very quickly. And so when he found out in the hospital that they had found him, they said, "Did they find out his name?" And so we did. We told him the name, and he said, "We need to pray for him." And it shocked me that this man just attacked you. And to be fair, that was not the first thought in my mind, was to pray for him. And he said, "Well, he really needs Jesus. He's really suffering." And I'm thinking, here's my son's barely hanging on to life here at this point, and questionable, and we have no idea at this point how much permanent damage would happen. And his whole concern was, this man is in pain or hurting, and we need to pray for him. And it's really hard for me to hold on to some type of anger or disappointment when the victim is wanting to forgive them completely. And then I started watching. The big thing came later. He's recovered 100%. No, when he was leaving the hospital, the doctors told him, said, "You're going to need this follow-up because you're going to have PTSD." And he kind of said, "I don't think I will." And they said, "No, you will." And an attack like this, everybody does. He has none. He has no bad dreams. He's not skittish. In fact, I don't think he's skittish enough with some things. It's like the event never happened as far as any negative aspect.
Wow.
And I'm wondering, how is that possible? And I really believe it's because it's commanded for us to forgive. And we need to forgive. And I know the more quickly you forgive, the less damage is going to happen from that. Because when you're holding unforgiveness, it's a cancer to you.
That's interesting. So it's important to forgive quickly. That is your...
I believe that, but my son, I think, went a step further than that. He never allowed a pain to enter to begin with. So he had nothing to forgive. It's one thing, if somebody hurts you, you're hurt. Now forgive as quickly as you can. That helps heal the hurt. But he never allowed that to come to begin with. So he never had that pain, never had any scar tissue from that injury, because immediately his thought was to help this man. Not, oh no, I hurt, why me, why? None of that ever entered his mind. It was an immediate, I need to help him, immediate compassion, not anger, not anything else. It was more compassion. We need to help this man out. And so there was nothing, there's no scar tissue from the incident in his heart. And I realized that's the key. I think if you find unforgiveness, then clearly you need to forgive as quickly as possible, because the longer that goes, the more the damage, the more it spreads. But the best is never allow the unforgiveness to come to begin with. And that's the ultimate goal. And I don't think I've ever even thought about that until I witnessed it in my son. So it's been a life-changing experience for me.
Yeah, really interesting. Did he tell you later how that happened? Because it's not natural. Usually we are angry to people who hurts.
Yes, it just was in him. He is actually he's very special in this way, in that he's a man of faith that's like no one else I've seen. And for him, this was natural. It was very... So like he was prepared to react like that, or that happened... Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't know this till after the fact, but about 3 months prior, 3-4 months prior, right at New Year's, he did a fast at New Year's, and during that fast, he was praying for direction and seeking God, and God revealed to him and said, "You're going to suffer a big event, a trauma, this in the future." He didn't know when or how or what. He just knew God told him, "You're going to suffer something, but stay close to him." So he had, I would assume, that was a bit of a heads up that something's coming. But no, I don't know how he got to where he did. But
if he was prepared from God in some way, I understand, because that he was prepared by God. Yeah, that is important.
It was, and that's the part, I guess, of just living that close to God. And the whole event, it was right under a security camera, so the police have everything's going on, and right now he's trying to figure a way to truly minister to the man. But there's something else that I thought about as I was thinking about all of this is, many times your first, when somebody does something, especially unprovoked attack, is revenge of some type. I think that's kind of a natural emotion, but we always see in the Christian community, you hear about Malachi, about how have you robbed God, and it's talking about in tithes and offerings we robbed God, and give God what's due to God, and God opened the windows of heaven. And that's absolutely true. We stand behind that. But I got to thinking, are there other ways we rob God? And God says very clearly, vengeance is mine. So in a sense, if we start taking vengeance among ourselves, are we not stealing the very thing that God claimed as his? And so I think if we offer forgiveness, as Jesus did on the cross, as Stephen did when he was being stoned, he said, do not charge this account to them. It's just a complete forgiveness before the pain hits. I think that is completely turning over the vengeance aspect back to God, so you're not even touching it.
Yeah, interesting. So that belonged to him, and if we take that, we're stealing from him. Yeah.
So it's a thought.
Interesting.
So anyway, that's where we were at.
Yeah, interesting thought. Thank you. I think I will finish here because this story is so powerful, so I don't want to spoil anything. So.
Thank you very much.
Ovo je bila Teologija uz jutarnju kafu. Ovdje ću prekinuti. Mislim da je ova priča toliko izuzetna da ne bi želeo da je pokvarim. Ne bi želeo ništa da dodam, ne bi želeo ništa da oduzmem. Dovoljno je da razmislimo o ovom prelepom primjeru kad ne dopustimo da neopraštanje pokvari naše srce. Vidimo se, ljudi.